Welcome to Movie Mayhem. Here it's a Spiritworks Cinema, where we watch all the movies. So, by request, I guess I can say, we are doing the Star Wars series review. I saw Force Awakens yesterday at the time of filming this video. So we're going to talk about that at the very end. First, I'll go through the series. I'm not going to belabor a lot of this, kind of just talk about my personal experience with the film, because there's a million Star Wars reviews out there, which is why I hadn't done one before. Now, one thing I will say, I did watch this, all 6 of them, well, 7 of them I guess at this point, with someone who had never seen the movies before, at all. And we watched them, of course, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, as they came out. And this was on purpose because yes, I understand the prequels come before those, but the prequels are based on you having already seen those movies. They're not, if you haven't, it kind of ruins a lot of the surprises in the 4, 5, and 6. So, I'm going to talk about them in chronological order. Star Wars came out. I'm not going to give a history of it either. I'm not going to talk about stuff I know everybody knows. Star Wars, it's a great movie. It's fun. It's a fun, exciting movie. Pacing is a little bit slow, but you're getting to see stuff you never see. And honestly, you don't really see outside of Star Wars. Star Trek is very different in scope and concept. It's science fiction, whereas Star Wars is science fantasy. You got some good ripoffs of Star Wars in the late 70s and early 80s, especially from like the Italians and that kind of stuff. And they were cool. Battle Beyond the Stars, and then it was gone. You get no type of this movie anymore at all, really. Some TV shows have done stuff, similar, like Battlestar, but movies, there really isn't anything out there. It's a very interesting world where you have this, nobody successfully has ripped it off on a bigger scale other than like the Italian knockoffs. So, watching this, of course, is the edited, redone versions. So I'll talk about some of that stuff. This is the newest Blu-ray. They've altered it where Greedo effectively shoots at the same time, so it's really unnoticeable in the final thing. So it's idiotic that Han couldn't have shot first. It makes no sense. This is a draw. I mean, we know what's going on. Lucas and his grand wisdom. I mean, we're talking about the same people that, collaborated with Spielberg to replace guns with walkie-talkies in E.T. This is idiotic. It just makes no sense. So, yeah, that's dumb. CGI Jabba, it's just, it serves no purpose. That's the problem. It serves no purpose to the film, so it doesn't need to be in there. And it looks bad. The CGI really doesn't hold up now. It looks like 90s CGI. It's better than most 90s CGI, but still. The random animal sequences crossing in front of the camera, it's just annoying. It messes up the framing of the shot. He's fucking with his DP, right? And so the scenes don't look good like that. The explosions, that's fine. The retouching of all the space battles, absolutely amazing. Love it. I mean, I don't mind that in the Star Trek TV series either. That's fine. Fix that stuff. That's great. And that stuff's fine. I'm glad it's in there. But there wasn't really a lot of... That was mainly... The main butchering of one was that kind of stuff. So, it's okay. It didn't really impact my enjoyment of it. But it was an overall fun film. It's fresh faces. You got Luke, who is basically kind of not good. He's kind of incompetent and stuff. And you're like, oh, wait, this is our hero? You have Han, who's good at stuff, but the guy's so arrogant and cocky, it's almost, his bravado overwhelms it. And that was what was cool. They were very flawed characters, and that made them definitely very interesting, and I wanted to see what happened next. As you know, Lucas directed the first one, so thankfully it was a huge success, and we get more of them. 3 years later, you get Empire with Kershner directing. Now, both directors for Jedi and Empire didn't really come from a big film background, so they kind of were on the same playing field as a Lucas would have been. I think Lucas did okay in his early years. Remember, he didn't really direct anything after Star Wars until Phantom Menace. So Empire, I think the script is more solid. It's a much darker film. It's very realistic. We're dealing with very human, very flawed characters throughout. All of the modifications in that, totally fine. It's just touching up some CGI. Nothing, you know, it doesn't matter which edition you watch of it, just as good. You see a troubled man, you see a flawed man, Luke, becoming better, learning this stuff. He needs to stand up against this dark force. And finally, when he does, of course, he gets his ass handed to him by Vader, which is very funny because, I mean, Vader doesn't care. He's like, meh, 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 meh. You know, and rewatching it again, I still felt the same intense emotions. The relationship between Han and Leia had built through the course of the film. You know, it was very sad when this happened. You know, you even feel a little bad for C-3PO getting blown up, and you feel Chewbacca's, you know, pain as they're seeing them get tortured. It works on many levels because of that human aspect. Lando's betrayal, even though it only happens like 12 minutes after they arrive, it somehow comes out like, whoa, you know, it feels impactful. So the everything was basically perfect execution in Empire. At the end, so then the person I was watching it with actually asked me, he's like, do you think he's really his father, or is he just lying? And that to me was really important, because that's what I felt when I first saw Empire. I didn't know, right? You know, I didn't know. And you're like, well, is he lying to him or not? And there was no, you know, you had to wait for Jedi to know. And that's so cool that it still works on that level, because most people, everybody knows now, right? I mean, there's internet memes to people just randomly quoting it, that it's almost impossible you wouldn't know that he's actually his father. So it does work. Really cool. Jedi, another Marquand, I think, directed it. Again, TV guy, but you know, he did a solid job. However, the Lucasing of Jedi bothers me the most. It really does. First, he cut out the entire first Rancor part where the dancing girl gets eaten. It's just gone. It's not in there at all. Why? Some other dumb new characters are added. Then there's the music scene in Jabba's palace. Oh my god. The CGI character looks awful. The music is horrendous. The person watching this said, is this movie more for children? And that was exactly what they said. Because that's how childish, and oh, it's so bad. That's hard to erase out of my memory. That part is so horrible. You know, other than that, it doesn't really bother me, except I do miss the Yub Nub song. It's because, you know, I've always heard it. And I thought it was kind of a cute song. I didn't really have a problem with it. I don't know. Jedi overall, I like. You got Luke coming back. This is years later. Now he's kind of a badass, and we get to see this in him. You know, he's still not quite good enough to even beat Darth. And then that's one thing they did really good. I didn't know he could win at the end. I didn't know. He was getting beat down until he just went, you know, red-eyed rage because he talked about his sister. You didn't know that, and that's where it really captures you. When they scream, it's a trap, and they all pull back, you still have that feeling like, oh, crap, wait, are they going to make it or not? Because you just came off of Empire, which was dark. The Empire won. Everybody lost. There was no... So, coming into Jedi, you're not going to have the same expectation like, oh, I know they're going to win. So that worked really well. Now, the Ewoks, yes, Ewoks are adorable. I like when the one dies and Wicked's like standing over him. Yeah, that's good. The dropping the rocks, it works. It's a little bit silly. The fact that they can throw rocks and knock out stormtroopers kind of is a little silly. But other than that, it never really bothered me too much. You know, the big standout is Carrie Fisher's horrible acting. I mean, I don't know, she's awful in Jedi. I mean, awful. It's like she's not even there half the time. But, you know, overall, still fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, my favorite's still Empire, but Jedi, I'd still put a very close second with A New Hope right after it. And all three of them are fantastic. So, let's talk about the prequels. So, when I saw, you know, Phantom Menace, I'll say right off, I do not hate the prequels at all. I don't. I'm going to go briefly over the good and the bad. Phantom Menace, The good world designs. The world designs are absolutely fantastic. If you played the old Battlefront, love playing in the worlds. They're great. Ships look really cool. Darth Maul, great character. For a bad guy, yes, way underutilized. Lack of battle scenes. So, lack of battle scenes. Too much droid killing. I get it. We can't kill people. Come on. It's a war, guys. Killing a bunch of robots gets boring after a while. Some things that stick out that really bothered me. They can run at this hyperspeed ability, which they show in the very beginning of Phantom Menace. And never again. Never again. They're chasing people. They're racing to do something. They never use their super speed. So what the... Wait, Lucas, you'll go back and change a movie from 25 years prior, but you can't even in your own movie keep damn continuity? Why did they only have hyperspeed that one scene at the very beginning of Phantom Menace? I don't get it. Jar Jar, he doesn't bother me so much as he's really hard to understand in there. It's like, wait, what did he say? Is that what he meant? The way he did the whole talking thing, it's a little bit goofy. I don't mind him otherwise, There's stuff like him grabbing his tongue, and that's what did it. It was the way in which he was implemented became so silly and childish that he gets on your nerves more than he should. The King of the Gungans, who goes constantly. I felt like I was watching a dumbed-down children's film. Not like New Hope. That's a film that works for adults and children. That's a good film. Wall-E, Up. Films that work for adults and children. There is a difference. You have to have good writing. And Lucas directed all three of them. He's not a good director. He can't direct people. Jake Lloyd. Okay. Pod race scene, way too long. Way too long. It's boring. I'm not playing the video game. Great as a video game. Fun level. Boring to watch for 20 minutes. Lloyd's acting is awful. The final battle sequence where he's blowing up the space station. Wee! Woohoo! Oh yeah! Wee! Oh my god. I was watching thinking, you know what? If you just re-edited the audio of this scene, this would be a fine scene. But the fact you have him incessantly screaming out woohoo and yeah ruins it. It kills all dramatic tension. It just becomes idiotic. That kid ruins the movie. I could have replaced him with Jar Jar and been happier. I don't know. I can't tolerate a second he's on the screen. He's so awful. Overall, Phantom Menace is still the weakest of all of them, definitely. Clone Wars. Clone Wars again. I'm going to commend the world design. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The graphics and the world design and everything, absolutely fantastic. They look great. Again, too much talking. At least we get a lot of battles in there. But then you get Christian Hayden. I blame Christian Hayden for being a bad actor, because I don't think he's very good. But the dialogue's terrible. Because even Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman, both of who are great, they're delivering some of these lines, and I swear I can look in their soul and see it crying as they deliver some of this awful written dialogue. And that's what I never give a shit about Anakin. I don't. He's just whiny and petulant. He's not going to become some badass Darth Vader. I don't get it. It just doesn't work for me. You get whatever. He's mirroring how Luke. Who cares? You gotta make you need a better actor. A better actor. Someone who I'm going to emote with here. And I can feel for bad guys. It's okay if you do it right, but I just didn't care. He was such a jerk. He was just annoying. And the way he talks, it wasn't emotional. It wasn't like he was being a Jedi and separate from emotions. It was like he was unsure of every word he said. It's ugh. Clone Wars is my favorite of the three, just because it has the most amount of cool battle sequences, and Yoda does his ass of kicking, which was really awesome to watch. Was the last one Revenge of the Sith? Yes. Again, the acting and talking. Oh my god. The reveal of the Emperor. It's not a reveal, guys. We already knew it. Everybody knew this. It's not... So, and he convinces him to become a psychopath with nothing more than, yeah, we'll probably be able to make her live forever. Maybe. Bah, ha, ha, ha. Go kill everybody. What? Wait, what? All the Jedis get punked. It's just sad. The lightning getting turned back on him turns him into the weird old man. Anakin, who wouldn't let him kill the Emperor, but then had no problem slaughtering the younglings, which, now, had they have actually filmed the youngling sequence, like, him and they're lopping little fucking heads off, and that, the movie would be probably one of the greatest of all time. But they did. They pussed out and just show, Anakin, look at my emo face. It goes on. And Ewan McGregor still does a really good job. Everybody else, I think Portman had given up on this by this point. The lines are just bad. The dialogue's terrible. And you just don't feel it. I don't feel any emotion, and I need to believe Anakin loves her so much that he goes completely nuts, and it could have been done. It's been done in other movies, but it just doesn't work. So you're left with kind of a hollow thing, and at the end, you get Vader doing his no. It just comes off so hokey. I don't know. I mean, like I said, they're passable movies. I don't hate them. Rewatching them, unfortunately, rewatching them made me like them less. So that does say something. That brings us to Episode 7, The Force Awakens. The new hope for the series under J.J. Abrams' direction. So if you don't know, Disney owns everything now. Like all of Marvel and Star Wars. So that's a pretty huge chunk of properties. The problem is Disney is not like Warner Brothers. They do not allow their directors any control. Let's not say any. Okay, minuscule amounts. And if you oppose them, like Edgar Wright, you will be dismissed. They have no problem with that. And again, it's a corporation. They're there for the stockholders. As much as I think it's douchey, I can't blame them. That's their job, right? Okay, so Episode 7, one line review. It's better than the prequels, not as good as the originals. Now, spoilers will be in here. I'll try to cover. I'll clarify most of them. I think I'll use a lot of vagaries here. It looks good. It looks like New Hope. It's basically a remake of New Hope, relying on nostalgia in the form of jokes and, of course, the guest appearances in order to quell you over. First problem, the character of Rey. The character of Rey makes a Mary Sue look like a bumbling idiot. If you don't know what Mary Sue is, it's someone who's basically perfect at everything. My God, this character, supposed to be, I'm guessing young, maybe 19, something like that, is good at everything. Better pilot than Han, better shot than Han, better mechanic than Chewie, master of the Force with no training, better swordsman than a trained soldier of 20 plus years. And the problem with doing that is I was never threatened. I never worried about that character ever. I mean, Luke got his ass handed to him after he'd been training for over a year. And this is a character who we just watched. Nothing that character encounters is a problem. Everything. That character doesn't need anyone for anything. Well, so I don't care anymore. I just don't care. I don't care to see what happens to this character in the next movie or this movie, because I know the character is can't die, can't be hurt, can't fail, can't make a mistake. This is a flawless human being. I mean flawless to the point of absolute perfection. Boring. It's just bad writing. It's bad character writing. I don't like characters like that in anything. Even if you look at a movie like Commando, he's good at blowing shit up, and that's pretty much it. That's all the guy can do. We understand that. Even Rambo, where he's like super badass, he has trouble. He has emotional conflict. He can't deal with emotions. He can't deal with people. He can't deal in certain situations. They're flawed. They have flaws, and I'm using extreme examples of ridiculous characters. In this, no, the character of Rey is perfect. There is nothing you can. There's nothing. I mean, why then just send Rey? Rey will just blow up the Death Star by punching it or something. Who cares? Because apparently she can do that. So that kind of killed it, honestly. The scenes without Rey in it, I pretty much enjoyed the movie for what it was, a remake of A New Hope. Which, again, Disney, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So it was okay. Finn, the Stormtrooper guy. My big problem with him, well, there are two problems. One, they really copped out. There's a line, spoiler, he says in the beginning of the movie, it's like, oh, it was my first mission. Oh, wait a second, really? Wait, we get the one Stormtrooper who's never done anything before? He's never killed anyone? Come on, it's a cop-out. This should have been a guy, maybe he'd been on 20 missions before, and he kept progressively seeing the horrors that were being committed by the First Order, and that was his cracking point. You then have a more deep character, a character who was conflicted and changed. And this was somebody like, no, they gotta have him cookie cutter, clean, perfect. Like, really? He couldn't have killed anybody before? Nobody, guys? Come on. I thought that was a total cop-out. Second, he's kind of a bumbling idiot. And I get that was to make Rey even more perfect is the only reason I can understand it, but why do they have him being so incompetent? He can't be good at all. He should just be a little better. I mean, he's supposed to be trained since birth to do this, right? He shouldn't be that. He should be better. That bothered me. Not horribly, but it was just like, they made him a little bit not very good at stuff, right? I think, of course, it's awesome seeing Harrison Ford back, and he's truly the highlight of the movie. Him and Chewie are the stars. So BB-8 is R2-D2, reincarnated. I mean, that's really what the character serves. And the premise of the movie is exactly the same. One of the other problems is glaring plot holes, which I guess they're leaving it open for sequels, prequels, etc. But Max von Sydow's in the movie, and you're like, oh, he's this important guy. Okay, now he's gone. Wait, what? Wait, huh? Wait, where are we? And what's happening? Now, I know I've read Wikipedia's. We're not going to count any of this, okay? From just seeing the movie. What the fuck is going on? Is it a civil war? Who's controlling things? Who the fuck are these people? Is the First Order, are they in charge of something? I don't understand. They apparently blew up all the Republic while they're in session. Who's left? Who's the resistance? Again, they don't explain that in the movie. And you have to explain that in the movie. You cannot expect people to go read alternate sources or something like that when there seems like there's that much missing. It's 30 years in between. I need a little gap filler. The main bad guy, I don't know, when his mask is on, he's fine. He's one of the most powerful Jedis that we've seen. He can stop laser blast midair, which looks awesome. But apparently can't win a lightsaber fight against a completely untrained fighter who's never held a lightsaber ever. Huge problem with that. He's way too much of a little bitch, too. I was like, wow, this is our main villain. James Earl Jones' voice, he is not. The imposing menace of Vader, he is not. He didn't need to take off his mask. He didn't. It would have been better if he didn't. I mean, you didn't see Vader like that until the third movie, and then he was all messed up and mutilated. And this, I think it really took away from that. I saw the death coming, so I knew that had to happen, strictly based on how contracts work and how residuals are going to happen, that kind of stuff, and who hadn't been in the movie yet. So I figured that was coming, and I didn't have a problem with that. I think it worked well. I think a lot of that worked really well. How did the one lady get the lightsaber down there? That's a story for another time. No, it's not. No, it's not. Give me a line of dialogue. Why is it a story for another time? What's happening? Why is this lightsaber even important? Why? There's a lot of unanswered questions that, I think the movie's going to get a lot of acceptance and praise because it's better than the prequels. That's not really hard to do, though. I mean, it really felt like a inferior remake of A New Hope. And like I said, my biggest complaint with the movie is I don't care about Rey, and that's our main character. I don't care. I'm never going to be worried for the character. You've already shown that Rey can beat the main bad guy with zero training. I don't care saying he was wounded, wouldn't matter. He beat the holy snot out of Finn, who we've seen stormtroopers have Tonfa training, apparently, and Tonfa's a hell of a lot closer to using a sword than her I'm beating you up with my stick in the desert training that we don't know what was there. Apparently she grew up by herself on this desert thing, so it just, you can't have a character who's perfect at everything, or it becomes a boring character. It's not an interesting story to watch. And that's one of the things, like, a lot of people complain about Bond at times. And that's why they always gave him the emotional crutch, and stuff like him in Fleming had him lose his wife and have this emotional baggage with him. And that works, but this character has nothing. It felt like a very shallow, very poorly written character. The movie looks amazing. Not a lot of new stuff introduced as far as like ships go and stuff, which surprised me. I thought we'd see a little bit more of that. Not really new worlds. I mean, you have the new planet you go to. You have one that looks like Hoth, one that looks like Endor, basically. So not a lot there. It really felt like they were really playing it really close. But, I mean, they've set a precedence. And since it's Disney, they don't like to veer out of the box. They don't want to do anything that's going to shock anybody. So I already know, in the next movie, Rey's going to be a super badass and crushing everybody. And in the third movie, she'll beat everybody. That's what's going to happen. And that worries me. If they want to do something, now if they do something really awesome, like kill her off or have her turn to the dark side in the second movie, then, you know what, I take it back. It still makes a boring character in this individual movie. So I have to judge it as standalone. Overall, if I'm going to rate it, I'd give it probably a 6 out of 10. Maybe a 7, maybe. There's just, it's I'll watch it again, but I'd rather put in New Hope, Empire, or Jedi. And that's always going to be a problem. And not just for nostalgia, just because the characters are more interesting. And that's, as I said, it's better than the prequels. It just doesn't hold up. And I really think it's that one character. If you would have rewritten that character, she didn't need to be good at everything. That's why we have Finn, a droid, and a Wookiee. The droid... Why couldn't the droid have repaired the ship? Why did she have to know how to repair the ship perfectly? To have the droid do it. Oh, well, then there's something she can't do. And then have anything. You can't make a character who can do everything. It's boring. It's boring in role-playing games. It's boring in everything. That's the whole point. You got to think of a movie, especially a movie like this, it's a party-based system. She needs a party. It doesn't work if she doesn't need anybody because she's already better. She learns how to use the Force in 2 seconds to mind control people. How? What? Wait a second. You didn't know you had the Force and now you can fully mind control people already? You want to say, she's the real chosen one. Fine. You want to give her the Force thing? I could almost forgive that. But I can't forgive being the amazing pilot who's never flown out of the atmosphere before? Come on. And being able to repair everything? Come on. Being a master fighter? Come on. Give me a break. What can't you do, right? That's my main complaint about it. I said I still enjoyed watching it, but I was definitely disappointed at the end. So there you go. Let me know what you thought, and we'll talk more at Movie Mayhem.